Spain is amazing, but Austria has its own charms. And as someone who lived in both countries, I will tell you today what I personally liked more about life in Austria compared to life in Spain. Hi everyone, my name is Dunya, and I've been living in Spain for over 3 years. And before that, I lived in Austria for over 6 years, close to 7 years. In the last episode, I was telling you what I prefer about the life in Spain compared to the life in Austria. And today, I will be telling you what I prefer about life I had in Austria compared to the life I have in Spain right now. Before we continue, just I would like to remind you to please subscribe because it really means a lot, and you will be updated with all the videos about life abroad, life in Spain. So just subscribe. Thank you. Number one is the Austrian administration and bureaucracy in general. I mean, going to the administrative office, to the immigrant office, is never like pleasant experience, but if I was finding it way more enjoyable in Austria than in Spain. Some of the reasons are that first, the Austrian bureaucracy it's simpler than here in Spain. Whenever I was not clear what I needed to do, I was either phoning them or emailing them and asking them for instructions. And yes, they were responding to my emails. Maybe I have to give a small disclaimer here that I was always living in a very small places in Austria, and the regions to which I belonged administratively were quite small, and the administrative offices were not so busy. Immigrant offices were not too busy. It was way easier for me to understand how and which steps I need to follow. And yes, they ask you for less documents than they actually ask you here. Maybe not always like in immigration office, but I would say in general, they ask for less documents, and everything can be done in less steps. Because in Spain, for example, for the residence permits, you have 2 or 3 at least appointments at different places, while in Austria, this was all done at one place at once, and then you just needed to wait for the identity card, and it was easier to make an appointment. Because here in Spain, if you need to get the resident card, you sometimes you make an appointment for 3 months from now, and in Austria was usually getting appointment for like within a couple of days. But not just that, like it almost never happened to me in Austria that they tell me we don't have any available appointments right now. Try next week or try tomorrow. Here, this is for many offices. Now, I'm not just talking about immigration. They just tell you we don't have any appointment. Try again in I don't know in the afternoon or tomorrow, and this is sometimes exhausting because you have to be alert and check their web pages all the time and click and refresh, and then the appointment appears and then appointment disappears. Someone else is faster than you. So yes, I found the administration way easier in Austria compared to Spain. The next section, cleanliness and public spaces. I I would not say that here in Spain is bad. It's quite okay, especially city centers and touristic areas are quite nice, clean. But some spaces that maybe they are not so much visited by tourists, they could be better in a way that here, for example, our neighborhood in Madrid, sometimes it needs some cleaning. Maybe I said this already several times, but yes, the dog owners don't clean after their pets. And this, for example, in Madrid city center, you will not see at all. This I never saw in Austria. I was also living in Austria in one village, and it was always, I don't remember if I ever saw any piece of trash on the street, which here, for example, in the village of my husband's parents and in the area, you can see a piece of trash here and there. And of course, it would be nicer without that. Section number 3, nature and outdoor life. This is also the section that I was mentioning in the last video. Let's say that maybe Spain wins because there is a more contrast. Spain also has mountains, it has, cities, small, big ones, the sea, the ocean. And so there were more places where you can go, but I have to mention here that that Austria has really beautiful mountains, and in summer it's really beautiful to hike there. Summers are not too hot; it's quite pleasant, and in winters there is an unlimited number of places where you can go to ski or do some other winter sports. I am not much. I am actually no, I'm not at all person for winter sports. So for me, usually winters were quite boring in Austria. But people who like skiing and winter sports, they really enjoy it there. And one thing I like in Austria more is that hiking routes, biking routes, walking routes are way better labeled. And basically, in any village, you have, I don't know how many routes coming out from this village. Sometimes you can also see, like, it says how long it is, like kilometers, hours of walking. It says the difficulty level. There were 3 or 4 difficulty levels. I don't remember now. They were marked by colors, so that you know what is the level of preparation you need to have, or fitness or skills generally about, like, because sometimes it's not really hiking, it's climbing a little bit. The section number 4 is a circadian rhythm. And this is for me very big difference between Austria and Spain. I like the times of sunrises and sunsets and this daily rhythm way more in Austria than I like it here in Spain. The sunrise in Spain is way later than in the rest of Europe with the same time zone, basically. The sunrise daylight starts quite late here in Spain, and the sunset is also quite late. The only advantage of that is that in summer, you have a daylight until quite late. People go outside, enjoy the day until basically very late. But um, this kind of shifted day night times are actually the reason why here the meal times are so late. So many people, for example, in Spain, they don't have breakfast, or they have a quite late breakfast and very small breakfast. So many people go to work without eating, and then they eat something in some break around 10 or 11 a.m. And a little bit. And then there is a lunch that rarely starts before 2 p.m. And then the dinner is let's say at 8 p.m. the earliest, but most people have dinner past 9 p.m. in the south, where especially in like summers when it's hot and the day is until, I don't know, 11 p.m. The dinner sometimes starts past 10 p.m. So this is something I am getting very hardly used to. While in Austria, these meal times and daytimes, I think there is a perfect balance because daylight starts. I mean, of course, depends on the season, but basically, when you get up for going to work, there is already some light, and then people very commonly have breakfast before they come to work. Then there is a lunch around 1 p.m. And then dinner time starts past 6. Most people have dinner between 7 and 8 p.m. So this is a way better balance in my opinion, and I never had any problem getting used to day night shifts or day night rhythm in Austria as I have here in Spain. Section number 5, employment and stability. In the last episode, I said regarding the costs of life, I liked more Spain because going out and food and generally stuff are cheaper. But in Austria, salaries are higher and employment and unemployment rates are lower. And people often ask me what are their chances of getting a job in Spain. as a foreigner, especially like someone outside of the EU, I would say in Spain it's very difficult because unemployment rate right now is around 10% for people who are already living here, and Spain doesn't really have this kind of deficient occupation, which Austria, while Austria has kind of a list of deficient occupations, and then there it's easier to get a job in these areas if you're coming from the outside. Here it's not really the case, and yes, it's a bit difficult to get around here on the job market. Of course, I don't say it's impossible. People have jobs, find jobs, but it's not so easy. I would say that regarding some kind of job and employment stability, it's better in Austria. Salaries are higher. For me, when I traveled somewhere from Austria to many countries, I felt like, okay, I go to a restaurant and this is really not expensive because I have the similar prices in Austria, or I don't know, hotels or travel tickets. And now when I travel somewhere, for example, we were in Denmark in October, and this was a dinner in a restaurant was twice the price of one in Spain. And of course, with the Spanish salary, this feels very expensive. Of course, it's in Denmark is more expensive than Austria as well, but the difference maybe it's not so big, and then you would not feel like very poor. Section number 6, Austria is close to other countries. I mean, Spain is really big country, especially I live in Madrid, so I live in the center, kind of. It's wonderful to go to the north, to the south. You have really the feeling like you are in a different country, like towns and the coast and the landscapes and the climate can look very different. Even food in restaurants are very different. So yes, also in Spain, like if you go from one corner to another, you will feel like you are in completely different country. But from Austria, you can get to many countries in Central Europe. Hungary is very close. Croatia, you can go to the sea. Italy as well, but also I would say architecture in these places is quite different compared to the one in Austria. Then you have Germany, Czechia, Slovakia, Switzerland, Slovenia. Slovenia is also beautiful. And for example, from Graz is just 1 hour driving and you are in Slovenia. You can go and explore many different countries and cultures, hear many different languages from Austria. Also what I prefer in Austria, but this is just my personal preference, is that I from Austria could reach my country, Serbia, by car, which you can also visit, by the way, and I also recommend for visiting. I could drive to Serbia, and this psychologically felt easier, because if I need to book the plane ticket, and usually you need to book the plane tickets quite in advance, you need to plan quite in advance. You cannot really be spontaneous. Many times I went to Serbia just for a couple of days and I planned it very spontaneously. So yes, this is not possible here. And if you're planning on living abroad, and here I'm not talking just about Spain and Austria, just so you know that maybe for you it's not going to be like that, but for me, when I could reach my family by car, it just felt a little bit easier. And this is it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I would really like to hear from you. Are you thinking about moving abroad? Have you been living in Austria or Spain? Or are you thinking of moving from one of these countries to another or somewhere else? I would really like to hear your experience as well and your comments about my impressions from this episode and in general. Also keep in mind that I have an Instagram account, Miss Expat Spain, have Buy Me a Coffee account, Miss Expat Spain. So check them out. Also subscribe. It really means a lot. Until the next week, bye.